iPhone 4, I think, was one of the most impactful and probably one of the biggest changes we've ever seen from one iPhone to the other. And honestly, I'm honored to even be talking about this phone right now because this phone is such a legend. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was one of the last iPhones that Steve Jobs ever actually, touched and was, involved with. And you can kind of see that if that's actually the case, because this phone has held up so well throughout the last decade. And I can't believe this phone is over 10 years old. It's, going to be 11 years old next year. And that is something that's so insane to me. This phone has held up so well throughout its lifetime. And, credits to Apple for making a timeless phone like this. And I feel like the only other phone so far that's kind of in the same category is probably the iPhone 10. I feel like the iPhone 4 and iPhone 10 are almost in the same ballpark. Now, this phone came out in 2010, and what I can tell you without a doubt, the 3.5-inch panel, the way this phone looks, the glass on the back, the old 30-pin connector, when you throw all those things together, you may think, oh, that's like some old iPhone. I can't even see what's the use of it anymore. This phone is an icon, okay? This phone in and of itself is such a huge impact on Apple. And the panel itself, this was the first time we saw a Retina screen, I think from Apple, but if not, it's the first Retina display on an iPhone. And that is something that's insane. Can you imagine that? Every single panel Apple has pretty much released then, I think besides the iPad Air 2, was a Retina panel. And the fact that this thing had that at that time is insane to me, in my opinion. And I think it was one of the best, screens of that year, besides I think some OLED panels that, Samsung made. Now on the top of the screen, you do have that front-facing camera. And this was the first iPhone to bring a front-facing camera, which that in and of itself is another huge, respect icon for Apple for making this specific phone. I mean, that's insane to me. And the front-facing earpiece as well. I mean, that was just, for phone calls and stuff. Now you do have that home button on the front, which, was recycled from pretty much past iPhones. But when you look at this thing, you definitely see an old iPhone. I definitely see an old iPhone too. But I see a huge impact on culture in terms of phone from the specific phone itself. And that's super insane to me. Now on the bottom, you have that 30-pin connector, headphone jack, all that good stuff. And on the back, you do have that glass back, which was the first time we saw a glass back on an iPhone. And that in and of itself, again, made this phone feels so much more premium than all the competition. A lot of other phones in the market still had pretty much that standard plastic back, removable back, which I prefer, but I don't prefer the plastic. I like the glass. I love that about this type of phone. And even now, when you hold it in 2020, going into 2021, it doesn't feel like an old phone. It still feels like a very premium flagship type of device. And that's a huge thing about this specific phone. Now, you do have that single